Hello crafty friends, and welcome back to another DIY try video where I try a DIY I've never done before. Today we are diving into the world of bath bombs. Bath bombs were invented in 1989 by the founder of Lush, and they were inspired by the fizzing of an Alka-Seltzer tablet to create what was then called an aqua sizzler, but became a bath bomb, and it's pretty much the staple product of Lush Cosmetics. They sell a whole bunch of different stuff now and a huge range of bath bombs. So a bath bomb, if you're not familiar, is used to add salts, essential oils, potentially scent, colour and maybe bubbles to your bath to make it feel like a really fun science experiment, to make it smell incredible, feel super relaxing, and the ingredients used do have skin benefit. So today I wanted to try to make my own bath bombs. A bath bomb will essentially cause a reaction. It's a stable compound when it is dry, but it is a weak acid-based reaction when it gets wet to convert citric acid and sodium bicarbonate into sodium citrate and carbon dioxide, or bubbles. So you'll get this incredible fizzing action. It will release any of the colours, the smells, any of the little extras, like today we're using rose petals, and it'll all just float around in your bath and you can climb in and have the best self-care Sunday ever, which I think we all need right now. So I will be using a kit today, but also sharing a bath bomb recipe. This kit was given to me as a gift from Darren. It's not like a YouTube gift where I had to make a video or anything like that. So this was purchased not with my money, but with Darren's, and it was a gift to me. And I'm just going to tell you right away, it was great. 10 out of 10, would recommend. So as I'm going through, I'm just pulling out all of the ingredients. Everything that you need is included. So we've got the citric acid, the sodium bicarbonate, cornflour, Epsom salt. We've also got the scents, which is rose oil and lemon oil. We've got some coconut oil in there, as well as the bath bomb mold, which I'll bring out in a second, and that little pipette for measuring. So the only extra things that you'll need here is some water, and you'll also want to grab a couple of bowls for your mixing and a wooden spoon. So here I have my large bowl for mixing all of the dry ingredients, a small bowl for mixing the wet ingredients, so the scent, the water and the coconut oil. I have a spatula that is horribly stained and therefore no longer used in the kitchen. And then I just have a tray to let the bath bombs dry on and a spoon to help me release from the mold. So I'm following the instructions and mixing first the dry ingredients. It doesn't matter what order you add these to the bowl, but I'm starting with the largest packet, which is the 240 grams of sodium bicarbonate, and then the next few packages, the citric acid, cornflour and Epsom salt, are half that amount, so 120 grams. And I'm just dumping these into a bowl, and then I'll go ahead and take my spatula and fold this together and mix it up. It doesn't matter how you mix this. You could whisk it, you can stir it, you can fold it. You just want to make sure that all of those powders are nicely combined, and you don't want to be too aggressive with it. You don't want it flying up into the air and kind of breathing it in or whatnot. So just be a little gentle with it. Some of those powders are quite fine. Then you want to set that off to one side and grab your coconut oil. So there's 15 grams of coconut oil. If it's really solid, you can go ahead and pop it in the microwave. I put mine in my armpit while I was filming the start of this video. Maybe that's too much information, but the heat from there was enough to melt it. Then you want to add the precise measurement of water that the instructions ask for. I believe in the instructions it asked for 14 mils of water. And then finally you want to add your essential oils. The kit came with lemon and rose. I'll be honest, I don't really like rose scent in my bath, so I substituted it. So here they are. There's 3 milliliters of rose oil and 5 milliliters of lemon oil. I added in the lemon and I substituted the rose for lime. I love lemon and lime. I went to a really fancy spa once and it smelled incredible everywhere you went, and all the candles they had burning were lemongrass and lime. So when I got home, I bought lemongrass and lime essential oil because I wanted my house to smell like that sometimes. So once I had those thoroughly mixed, it's time to combine the dry ingredient and the wet ingredient. Now, we talked earlier about how bath bombs are reactive and it creates a fizzing effect as it releases the carbon dioxide. So you'd think, well, how do I stop that from happening as I'm making my bath bomb? So the trick here is to go really slow and to press the ingredients together. So you want to use the pipette to pick up just a couple mils of the ingredient, the wet ingredients, and then drop that into the dry ingredients and quickly press the dry ingredients over the top. You'll notice as you drop it in, it will start to fizz and react almost instantly. And to stop that reaction, you just want to press everything together. So I'm going to show you this a few times. I'm just using the pipette to pick up some of that ingredient and then quickly pressing the dry powder over top. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm kind of just using my hands to like rub that through and make sure everything's nicely combined. You want to keep going nice and slow and steady with this process until you have a texture a little like this. So you want it to be like wet sand. You want it to be able to hold a shape when you squeeze it firmly together, but you don't want it to be too wet or too dry. So I had added a little bit more of that mix and then really thoroughly combined everything together, just using my hands, mixing it through, kind of making sure there weren't any lumps or bumps. And once I had everything set, I grabbed the molds. So I added a couple of the dried rose petals. I know I said I didn't like rose scent, but the rose petals are pretty, so I'm okay with those. And then I'm just adding it using my hands. I'm not sure if you're supposed to use gloves. Maybe somebody could let us know in the comments. I've seen a couple different videos since of people using gloves, some where they're not. The instructions didn't advise to use gloves, so I didn't. And I'm just going to go ahead and add the mixture into the mold. I've overfilled it and I've gently pressed the powder into the mold so it's already fairly firm. And then you just want to squish those two halves together and all the excess will just spill out of the sides. So I pressed everything together really firmly. I actually did this, this was the first one, so I was really excited, and I pressed it quite a lot because I didn't want it to just kind of crumble apart when I opened it up. I was conscious of the fact that we had those rose petals in there, and I didn't want those to drop into my mixture. Look how pretty that is! I couldn't believe it. So I went ahead and used the spoon. I abandoned this after the first couple because I didn't need it, but I took the bottom off first and then lay it down on this tray and took off the top. And look how incredible that is. It looks like a bath bomb. And like, not just a DIY bath bomb either, like it looks great. So I'm just going to speed this up. I went through and did the same thing over and over again. Sometimes I use the spoon to kind of spoon the mixture in and then press it down. Sometimes I just went right in there and scooped everything up. But I firmly pressed the two halves of the mold together every single time and then flipped it over and added it to my little pan that I'm going to keep everything in to dry. So it's really easy to work through this process, and I believe I ended up making about 9 of these using the measurements of the materials that were supplied with the kit. And there wasn't too much left over either. I was a little bit worried as I was working through that I might get to kind of 8 and then have like 3/4 of a bath bomb left, which is really frustrating. But I didn't. It worked really well, and I just had just a tiny bit left over. So here you can see what's going on from the view of the bowl. Exactly the same thing, just scooping everything up, adding in those rose petals, and I'm keeping going until all of that mixture is used up. So you can see here I'm just making my final bath bomb, and I'm really having to scrape to get those extra pieces in, patting that down just to make sure it's nice and full. Squish those two sides together and then open up the mold, and there I have all of the bath bombs finished. Don't they look incredible? I definitely could have used a little bit more of the rose petal. I didn't know how many bath bombs this was going to make, so it didn't really I had quite a lot left over, so I could have used more, but I think they look so pretty. You want to leave these alone and not touch them until they are completely dry. I left them overnight and then it's time to package. So I tried to be really fancy with this. I grabbed my heat shrink wrap That was the dog running, if you heard those tippy tappies. I grabbed my heat shrink wrap and I cut out a small rectangle and I tried to wrap it around the bath bomb and then use my heat gun to shrink it to the bath bomb to create like a really professional looking super sealed bath bomb. It's important that you seal your bath bomb, especially if you're going to keep it in the bathroom like I do, because you don't want any moisture from when you're using a shower or running a hot tap for a long time to activate the fizz in that bath bomb. So you want to make sure it's completely sealed and no moisture can get to it. And I thought this is going to be really professional and it's going to look really great. I was wrong. I have seen people use a heat reactive, like a heat shrink paper, I guess. What would we call this? A foam? Heat shrink foam? To create their bath bombs, but it wasn't working for me, so I gave up and I decided to use cling film. I know that's not what it's called all around the world. It's called cellophane, for example, in America. But this stuff here that you use to seal up your food, not the press and seal where it sticks down, but the really thin one, it's perfect. It's so much easier. I have used that heat shrink foil before to wrap up things like gift baskets, and I think maybe the one that I have is just a little too thick for the purpose of wrapping a bath bomb. So I've gone ahead and laid some of them down. I've laid down one for kind of a size guide and then another one just to hold that film in place because she wants to get messy. She wants to curl up on herself. So then I just made sure to pull down tightly across the top of the bath bomb. That's the area that we want to look the best because that's the front, that's the bit that you look at, that's the face of the bath bomb. So I pulled the cling film down really tightly over that area and then just proceeded to wrap it up around the bath bomb, and this worked great. I actually made these, gosh, I want to say a week or so ago, so there's two of us in the house and Darren's running all the time, so there's been a couple showers and a couple baths had since then, and my bath bombs are really nice and safe. And look how cute they look. So it might only be cling film, but I think it looks really professional anyway. So if you're making these, particularly if it's for a gift rather than as like for business purposes, which if you're doing this as a business, you shouldn't be getting your advice from me. I don't know what I'm doing. This is the first time I'm doing it. But I would definitely recommend using cling film as a very quick, easy, inexpensive, great way to wrap these that is foolproof. I know it is because I managed it. So I'm just wrapping it, pulling that cling film nice and tight, and then just smoothing those edges around. You can kind of scrunch it all together and then cut off the excess if you want, or you can just wrap it around and then smooth down the sides. I kind of did both ways depending on how much excess film that I had, and I found that both have worked really well. So I kept going until I got to the very last one, and that is it. It is that simple. So I wrapped them all up. I'll show you in a second how you could add these to cute little organza bags, which would just kind of make it look like a more luxurious gift. For me, I have put all of these in my bathroom because I'm keeping them all, but I am looking forward to making some more. I want to use some soap dye because it's skin safe and shouldn't stain my tub to create some different colours, and I also want to add some albus oil for like a day when you're not feeling too good and you've kind of got a cold. Okay, here is the bit that you've been waiting for. Will it fizz? I took this into my bathroom and dropped it into my bath. Excuse the sound of the fan, but here it is in all its glory. So there we go. I would say it is safe to say that these were a success. 10 out of 10 if I do say so myself. I really enjoyed this project and I would definitely recommend it to you. I'll have a link to the ingredients in the description below if you want to check that out, and also the website that the kit came from. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, let me know in the comments section. Leave me a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, go ahead and tap that subscribe button and hit the ring bell if you want to be notified each time I post a new video. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye for now.